The Amish and the making of bread. Making bread is much more than a practice for the Amish. Rather, it symbolizes a cultural practice that underscores their relationship to the land and community, and ultimately to their ancestors. Unlike the modern convenience of an automated bread maker, the Amish approach is a slower, more deliberate process, imbued with a profound sense of respect for tradition, patience, and the simple pleasures of life. This meticulous approach begins long before flour touches a bowl, emphasizing careful sourcing of ingredients and the importance of building relationships within their community. The whole process from choosing the grains through to breaking and sharing the loaf reifies their lasting traditions, far from the rushed, rather impersonal system of today's food manufacturing processes. Their attention to quality and patience, as well as a respect for community, will make all the difference between its bread and its competitors, a slice of tradition and history that recalls a less hurried time. Beyond just baking, this is almost an art to meditate. It becomes a ritualistic affair that connects one with people, making those ties stronger. Ingredient sourcing, commitment to quality and community. The Amish does not simply walk into the supermarket and grab some flour from there. The flour is part of their hard work. People largely grind their own grains or purchase flour from farming neighbors, establishing great relationships and understanding their source of food. This connection to the source of the ingredients fosters a strong sense of where the bread is coming from, including the specific type of wheat stock to the hands that farmed it. This commitment to local organic farming, long before it became trendy, is an example of environmental stewardship, and the quality and nuanced flavors resulting from such sustainable practices speak for themselves. A reliance on personal connections, handshakes rather than contracts, creates a unique supply chain built on trust and mutual respect. Eggs come from a neighbor's chickens, honey from a cousin's beehives. A system that embodies community cooperation and fosters a deep sense of shared responsibility. It is not always smooth sailing, though. There are years when the harvest isn't bountiful, requiring ingenuity and resourcefulness. Amish families adapt, substituting grains, stretching supplies, and demonstrating the resilience and resourcefulness that have been hallmarks of their way of life for generations. This reflects the ingenuity of earlier generations who went through similar challenges, where scarce resources are turned into filling meals, testifying to their resilience. This is a reminder that challenges often create creativity that was not anticipated, and sometimes the best bread is the one created from overcoming obstacles. For the freshness of the ingredients should be paramount. There are no second-class flour. After all, for less than perfect comes out of them, as one learns from one's own experimentation. Organic farming practices, I learned, preceded the fad of organic farming popularity for a reason: sustainable agriculture for the health of the land. This dedication goes beyond the mere pursuit of flavor. It reflects a deep-seated philosophy of responsible resource management and a harmonious relationship with the natural world. Mixing by hand, a meditative process. Forget electric mixers and fancy gadgets. The Amish approach to bread making is a hands-on experience. This is how it begins. The simplest mixing of flour, yeast, salt, and water in a bowl, and then stirring them together. The act of which appears rather easy until it starts thickening and turns out to be very hard to perform. The rhythmic stirring, a repetitive motion that fosters focus and mindfulness, becomes a meditative practice, a way to disconnect from the outside world and connect with the simple act of creation. This hands-on approach fosters a deeper understanding of the dough's needs, teaching the baker to respond to its subtle cues. A slightly dry patch necessitates a splash of water. A sticky consistency demands a dusting of flour. It's a silent conversation between the baker and the ingredients, a dance of give and take that ultimately results in a perfectly balanced dough. My early attempts were met with frustration and flour-covered explosions, a stark reminder that respecting the process is paramount. It's not just about the result, it's about the connection, feeling the texture change, smelling the yeast activate, noticing the dough pulling away from the sides of the bowl. It's a reminder of the satisfaction inherent in simple tasks, a connection to a slower pace of life, and a deeper appreciation for the process of creation. The physicality of the task, the exertion of effort, and the sensory engagement all contribute to a more profound and meaningful experience. The rhythmic, repetitive nature of the process allows the baker to enter a state of flow, where time seems to disappear and focus becomes intensely concentrated on the task at hand. This meditative aspect adds another facet of depth to the baking experience, transforming a simple chore into a mindful practice. Kneading dough, a workout and a meditation. Kneading is where the real work begins. No hiding behind stand mixers here. It's a physical and meditative process, a test of patience as the initially sticky, stubborn dough gradually yields to persistent effort. The repetitive stretching, folding, and turning of the dough transform this rough mass of dough into smooth, elastic consistencies. The exercise is great for the arms, a reminder that bread making was done by human force in old bread making. When an Amish baker kneads dough, there is an odd beauty to the rhythm as his hands do the job according to some natural instinct, feeling rather than seeing. The window pane test, stretching the dough until it is thin and translucent without tearing, is a magical moment, a testament to the transformation that occurs through persistent effort. Kneading isn't just a physical exercise, it's a therapeutic practice. The repetitive motion is strangely soothing, a form of meditation that helps quiet the mind and focus on the present moment. The Amish typically add a sense of play when doing this as they compare the process to wrestling a polite bear, something that actually represents the gentleness and yet firmness it takes to be able to effectively knead dough. Children often participate in this process, ensuring a shared moment of experience as well as forever family memories. Even imperfect loaves, with their lumpy imperfections, are cherished as they represent the shared labor and the love that went into their creation. The process itself is a testament to the value of patience and perseverance, mirroring the Amish approach to life in general. The physical exertion involved is a reminder of the connection between human labor and the creation of something nourishing and sustaining. The rhythmic repetition of the kneading process induces a meditative state that allows the baker to be focused on the present moment and to appreciate the simplicity of the act of creation. The first rise, patience and trust in the process. After the strenuous kneading, the dough is given a well-deserved rest, a period of rising that is as much about patience and trust as it is about the biochemical processes happening inside the dough. The Amish carefully choose a warm, draft-free location, often covering the dough with a cloth and tucking it away in a cozy corner. This is a time for reflection and trust, a relinquishing of control to the natural processes of fermentation. Temperature is a crucial factor, and without modern thermostats, the Amish rely on their intuition and experience to gauge the ideal conditions. My own experiments have demonstrated the unpredictable nature of this process, with dough doubling in size and attempting to make a break for it out of the kitchen. The first rise is important for flavor development, as the yeast works its magic, creating the subtle complexities that distinguish homemade bread from store-bought loaves. Some Amish families let their dough rise overnight, which gives it a deeper, tangier flavor. This step is a lesson in patience. There's no rushing the process. While the dough rises, other tasks are undertaken, churning butter, sweeping the porch, or sharing stories over coffee. It's a time to appreciate the rhythm of life and the rewards of patience. Uncovering the well-risen dough, transformed from a lumpy mass into a smooth, airy puffball, is a deeply satisfying moment. The waiting period represents a time of trust and surrender, allowing the natural processes of fermentation to unfold without interference. In this sense, the baker does not control the process, but only observes and waits for the dough to rise in its own rhythm. This respect for the natural order reflects a more general Amish philosophy about respecting the rhythms of nature and working in harmony with it. Shaping the dough, a mix of art and tradition. After the dough has finished its first rise, it is ready to be shaped. This step will take the dough into its final form: loaves, rolls, or intricate braids for special occasions. It is a creative process in which the Amish demonstrate their skill and artistry. Loaves for every day are simple, round, or oblong, but for special occasions, they take the form of intricate braided breads, often woven in several strands. The process of shaping dough is not just functional. It is a symbolic act with specific shapes having deeper meaning in the Amish community. A braided loaf could symbolize unity and strength, while small, perfectly rounded rolls may symbolize the simplicity of sharing a meal. The process itself requires steady hands and a bit of muscle, a delicate balance between firmness and gentleness. The goal is to create a tight, smooth surface, ensuring the loaf holds its shape during baking. Mistakes happen. Loaves that resemble deflated footballs are a testament to the learning process. Commonly, children are involved at this stage, whereby small, childish hands help shape the pastries. The process then becomes a multi-generational experience and sometimes links one to traditional processes. Taking the risen dough and giving it its last form is not just a mechanical process, but it does take a lot of creativity and artistry. The more skillful and experienced the baker, the more precision and art in the last form the risen dough assumes. The shapes themselves often carry symbolic meaning, reflecting the cultural and spiritual values of the Amish community. Baking in a wood-fired oven, a skill honed over generations. Baking bread for the Amish isn't just about following instructions. It's about skill, intuition, and a bit of trial and error. Many Amish homes utilize traditional wood-fired or brick ovens, which present unique challenges. These ovens do not have the modern accuracy of electric ovens. They demand deep knowledge and experience in controlling heat and timing. Even heating up the oven is a ritual in itself. The oven begins to warm up hours before the bread will be ready, and sometimes involves building and maintaining a fire for the desired temperature. This process makes the kitchen a sauna during summer. The temperature of these ovens is controlled through generations of instinct and experience rather than through measured readings. A baker's intuition, honed over years of practice, can determine the readiness of the oven through subtle cues. A sprinkle of flour that browns in seconds is a signal for baking time. Each oven has its own personality, some running hotter on one side, others cooling down more quickly. What's not predictable is part of the beauty. It's all about the journey, not about being perfect. The odor of freshly baked bread will perfume the whole house. This cannot be hidden from people who would love to share a taste with you. The use of wood-fired ovens makes a baking process more complicated and traditional. The skill in regulating the fire to keep the temperature of the oven at a controlled level is testament to the experience and knowledge of an Amish baker. The challenge and excitement arise from the unpredictability of the oven, which reminds us that even in simple tasks, imperfection and surprise are possible. The moment of truth, judging doneness through intuition and experience. Knowing when to take the bread out of the oven is, in itself, an important bit of skill, a balance between patience and intuition. The Amish approach timing as a dance, a rhythm built from experience rather than adherence to a clock. They depend on sensory cues. The change from yeasty to nutty in aroma deep golden brown color of the crust, hollow sound when tapping bottom of loaf. Opening oven door too soon is disastrous and will cause dough to collapse. Timing varies with the seasons and thus needs to be adjusted based on temperature and humidity. The more experienced bakers become almost magical in their instincts. They know a loaf is done by the subtlest of cues, the crust pulling back from the edges of the pan, the surface crackling as it cools. It's a knowledge that comes through years of practice, a testament to the deep connection between the baker and his craft. It is a matter of judgment, which depends on the combination of sensory cues and years of experience. The intuition of the baker, developed over time, enables him to recognize the subtle signs that indicate when the bread is perfectly baked. The lack of reliance on precise measurements and timers underscores the importance of observation, experience, and trust in one's own judgment. Cooling and sharing, a ritual of patience and community. When the bread leaves the oven, cooling is just as important. The Amish recognize that rushing this step means a squelched crust and not really developed flavors. Usually, the loaves rest on wire racks, allowing a variety of air to circulate and letting the crust crisp up. In fact, some Amish families wait an entire day before slicing the bread to allow the flavors to mature and soften. Cooling is not just a technical process, but a ritual that allows people to reflect and quietly enjoy their moments. This time in Amish kitchens is usually spent telling stories, completing chores, or simply savoring a moment of peace and quiet. This last test is that of tapping the bottom of a cooled loaf and getting a hollow sound. It's a very rewarding moment, almost a confirmation that all has been accomplished. Cutting bread with a sharp knife is vital to neat, clean slices. One final touch, showing care and attention at every stage of the process. Finally, it is ready to be shared and enjoyed with loved ones, culminating a long and rewarding process, a testament to patience, tradition, and the simple pleasures of life. The last stage of the process, cooling and sharing, is as important as the preceding steps. The patience required to allow the bread to cool properly underscores the importance of allowing time for the flavors to develop fully. The act of sharing the bread with loved ones reinforces the communal aspect of the Amish way of life, emphasizing the importance of fellowship and shared experience. The whole process, from start to finish, is a testament to the values of patience, community, and the simple joys of life.